Lock the doors, dim the lights, and step into the archive. I am the curator, and these are tonight's selections. I moved into the apartment at the end of October. The building was old, really old. The kind of place where the hallways smell faintly like dust and damp wood, and the lights flicker for a second before turning on. But the rent was cheap, and the landlord said the building was quiet. At the time, that sounded perfect. I work from home, so I didn't want loud neighbors or constant noise. The building only had 4 floors. My apartment was on the 3rd floor, right near the end of the hallway. The place itself wasn't bad. Old wooden floors, thin walls, and large windows that faced the street. But there was one strange thing the landlord mentioned during the tour. He pointed toward the ceiling and said casually, "Don't worry about the apartment above you." I asked what he meant. He shrugged. "It's empty." Apparently, the 4th floor apartment above mine had been vacant for years. No one had lived there for a long time. I didn't think much about it. Old apartments sometimes had empty units. Maybe the owner was planning renovations. Maybe the place was damaged. Either way, it didn't really matter to me. At least, not at first. The first 2 nights were completely normal. Quiet, almost too quiet. No footsteps above me. No furniture moving. Nothing, which made sense. The apartment upstairs was supposed to be empty, but on the 3rd night, something changed. It started around 2:30 a.m. I woke up suddenly to the sound of footsteps. Slow footsteps, directly above my bedroom. At first I thought I had imagined it. Sometimes old buildings make strange noises at night. Pipes expanding, wood shifting. But then I heard it again. Step, pause, step. The sound was unmistakable. Someone walking, back and forth, across the floor above me. I sat up in bed and stared at the ceiling, listening. The footsteps continued for almost a full minute. Then suddenly they stopped. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. I checked the time on my phone. 2:34 a.m. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe a maintenance worker. Maybe someone had finally rented the apartment upstairs. But the landlord had told me it had been empty for years. Eventually, I lay back down and tried to go back to sleep. And for a while, everything stayed quiet. Until I heard something else. A slow dragging sound. Like someone moving furniture across the floor, right above my bed. Screech. My eyes snapped open again, because whatever was upstairs was moving something heavy, very heavy, and it sounded like they were dragging it across the room. Then suddenly the sound stopped. A few seconds later, something tapped lightly on the floor, 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. Directly above my head. I stared up at the ceiling again, my heart beating faster now, because the taps sounded deliberate, like someone knocking. Then something even stranger happened. My phone buzzed on the nightstand beside me. I picked it up. There was a message from an unknown number. The message said, "Did you hear that?" My stomach tightened, because a second message appeared immediately after. That wasn't me. And right as I finished reading it, something upstairs knocked on the floor again. This time louder. Tap, tap, tap. Then my phone buzzed one more time. The sender wrote, "I live upstairs." I stared at my phone for several seconds. The message on the screen still glowed in the darkness. I live upstairs. My mind struggled to process it. That didn't make sense. The landlord had clearly told me the apartment above mine had been empty for years. Yet someone was texting me, claiming they lived there. Before I could reply, another message appeared. "Did you hear the knocking?" right above my head. Tap, tap, tap. The same 3 knocks echoed through the ceiling again. My heart began racing. I quickly typed back, "Yes, that's your apartment." The reply came instantly. "No." I frowned at the screen. Then another message appeared. "My apartment is above yours." My stomach tightened. That was impossible. The building only had 4 floors, and I was on the 3rd, which meant the apartment above me was the 4th floor. There was nothing higher than that. I typed slowly, "There's no floor above you." The typing bubble appeared on the screen, then disappeared, then appeared again, like the person wasn't sure how to answer. Finally, a new message arrived. That's what I thought too. My chest felt tight now. The ceiling above me creaked softly, like someone shifting their weight. Then the dragging sound started again. Screech, something heavy sliding across the floor upstairs. I typed quickly, "What's your apartment number?" There was a short pause. Then the reply came, 404. My stomach dropped, because I knew the apartment numbers in the building. My unit was 303, which meant the apartment above mine should be 403, not 404. I typed again, "There's number 404 in this building." Another pause. Then the response appeared. There wasn't when I moved in either. The hallway outside my apartment suddenly creaked. A soft footstep echoed faintly through the corridor. Then another. Someone was walking outside my door. Slowly, the footsteps stopped right outside my apartment. I held my breath, waiting, but whoever it was didn't knock. They didn't move. They just stood there. Then my phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. "Did someone just stop outside your door?" My heart skipped. I hadn't told them that. I typed back immediately, "Yes. How did you know?" The reply came instantly. "Because they just walked past my door." My throat went dry, because if someone had walked past their door, that meant their apartment had to be somewhere in the building. But there was no apartment 404. The ceiling above me suddenly creaked again. A slow set of footsteps moved across the floor, directly over my bedroom. I stared at the ceiling, trying to understand what was happening. Then my phone buzzed again. The message from the person upstairs appeared slowly. "I think someone else is up here." I swallowed. "Up where?" I typed. The response came a few seconds later. "The floor above me." My heart stopped, because that would mean one thing. There was another apartment above the 4th floor. A floor that wasn't supposed to exist. Then the ceiling above me shook slightly. 3 loud knocks echoed through the building. Bang, bang, bang. And my phone buzzed again. The person from apartment 404 sent one final message. They just knocked on my ceiling. I couldn't stay in my room anymore. The messages from the person in apartment 404 didn't make sense. There was number 404, and there definitely wasn't another floor above the 4th. But the footsteps above my ceiling were real. The knocking was real, and someone had just walked past my door. I grabbed my phone and slowly stepped into the hallway. The building was silent. The dim yellow hallway lights flickered softly. The carpet looked worn and faded, like it had been there for decades. I walked toward the staircase at the end of the hall. Each step echoed quietly in the empty building. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "Are you leaving your apartment?" I froze halfway down the hallway. "How do you know that?" I typed. The reply came instantly. "Because I can hear your footsteps." My stomach twisted. That meant the person upstairs was directly above me, listening. I continued walking until I reached the staircase. The old wooden steps creaked as I climbed toward the 4th floor. The higher I went, the colder the air felt. The hallway on the 4th floor looked darker than the one below. Only one light was on, and it flickered slowly. I walked down the hallway. The apartment doors were labeled clearly. For 101, for 102, for 103. Then the hallway ended. There was nothing else. Number 404. Just a blank wall. I stared at it for several seconds, my heart pounding. Then my phone buzzed again. "Are you outside my door?" I typed slowly. "There's no door here." The typing bubble appeared on the screen, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, the reply came. "Yes, there is." At that exact moment, something knocked on the wall in front of me. From the other side. Knock, knock, knock. I stepped back immediately, because the sound was coming from the blank wall. My phone buzzed again. "I hear you too." I slowly raised my hand and knocked back. 3 taps on the wall. Tap, tap, tap. The response came instantly. 3 knocks from the other side. Knock, knock, knock. My heart was racing now, because that meant someone really was on the other side. Even though there was no door, no apartment, just a wall. Then my phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. "Try the handle." My stomach dropped, because right in front of me, where the blank wall had been a moment ago, I suddenly noticed something I hadn't seen before. A small metal door handle, embedded directly into the wall, like it had always been there, waiting. And just as I reached toward it, my phone buzzed again. The message from apartment 404 appeared. "Don't open it." My hand froze in the air. The small metal handle was right in front of me now, just a few inches away, and my phone screen still showed the message from the person upstairs. "Don't open it." I stared at the wall again. A minute ago there had been nothing there, just plain paint and old wallpaper. Now there was clearly a handle, like a door hidden inside the wall. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I typed quickly. "Why not?" The typing bubble appeared on the screen, then disappeared. For several seconds there was no response. Then finally the message arrived. "Because that's how I got stuck here." A cold chill ran down my spine. "Stuck where?" I typed. The reply came immediately. "Inside 404. I slowly stepped back from the wall, trying to understand what that meant. "How long have you been there?" I asked. Another pause. Then the answer appeared. "I don't know anymore." The hallway light above me flickered again. For a brief second, the entire corridor went dark. Then the light came back on. But something had changed. The handle in front of me had moved. It was now slightly turned, like someone on the other side had just touched it. My chest tightened, because that meant someone was standing behind that wall. Someone inside apartment 404. Then the phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. "Did you touch the handle?" My fingers shook as I typed. "No." The reply came instantly. "Then who just did?" At that exact moment, the handle slowly turned downward, by itself. A soft click echoed through the hallway. The wall opened a few inches, revealing darkness behind it. Cold air poured out. The smell was strange, old, like a room that had been sealed for years. My phone buzzed again. A new message appeared. "Close the door." But before I could move, a hand reached through the opening. Thin, pale, shaking slightly, it grabbed the edge of the door and pulled it wider. My heart nearly stopped. because the face that appeared in the doorway looked terrified. A young man, pale, exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. He stared at me with wide eyes. "You can see me?" he asked quietly. I nodded slowly. "Yes." Relief flooded across his face. "Good," he whispered. "Then I can finally leave." Before I could react, he stepped forward, straight through the doorway, right past me. The moment he crossed the hallway, something inside the hidden room moved. Something much larger, a heavy shape shifting in the darkness. The man froze, slowly turning his head toward the open doorway. His face turned pale again. "No, no, no," he whispered. Then a deep knocking sound echoed from inside the room. 3 loud bangs. Bang, bang, bang. The man looked at me with pure panic. "You shouldn't have answered the messages," he said. Then he grabbed my shoulders and pushed me toward the open door. Hard. I stumbled forward, falling inside the hidden room. The door slammed shut behind me. I jumped to my feet and turned around, but the hallway was gone. Only darkness remained. My phone buzzed in my hand. A new message appeared, from the same unknown number. The message said, "Welcome to apartment 404. Then another message appeared underneath it. "Someone just moved into 303.